In the past few years, Afro House has exploded. Its rhythms and sound design are influencing the entire dance scene right now. No matter what music you produce, it's important that we study the rise of this genre. So if you're looking to take your Afro House tracks from this to this, then watch to the end, because I'm gonna break down everything from the workflow to the sound selection to the sound design, everything in between. Let's do it. The first thing we need to do is set our BPM. So in this project, I'm actually gonna set it to maybe 124 because I want it to be a little slower than the standard house beat. Afro house can be roughly 120 to like 128, it just depends. But the next thing we need to do is get our kick. So I actually have one loaded up right here, and we can just paste this on every beat. Afro house uses a lot more of these softer kicks, although I do want to add a little bit of texture to it. So what I'm gonna do is load up a stadium kick. Yeah, this one's perfect. Now it's gonna sound really muddy because they're clashing. So we can shorten this and just get the transient here. From here, let's level our kicks out. And I'm gonna use an EQ to just completely cut the lows of this texture kick. Perfect. Like I said, I just want that top end. And maybe we can shorten this kick and make it a little bit more tight. Alright, I think we're good with the kick, so let's move on to more of the textures and rhythm. Super important in Afro house, having those organic percussive sounds. So just to get something started for the rhythm, I have this hi-hat loop I found on Splice. I'm just gonna drag and drop this into the project, just so we can get something started. And then shakers are also very common in Afro house, so let's find a random loop. Yeah, we'll go with this one for now. So the kick is like the foundation, and then you have these more rhythmic texture layers under it, whether that be, of course, hi-hats, shakers, and now I'm getting this idea for maybe like a tom or something like that. So let's see what we can do. And what we can do is do the classic offbeat pattern that sounds like this. It's a little long and also clashing with the kick, so let's shorten it a little bit. Needs a little bit more layers, so let's do that. Got this random tom. And then I'm hearing a snare layer with more high end. We'll do this one here. I'm gonna make some variations of this tom pattern. Awesome, and from here there's one more thing I want to add to the drums. I'm thinking more of like a cinematic type of loop. I have a whole vision in my head right now, let's just build it out. So I'll take these Kashmir samples and load them into this FBC. Just a bunch of random ones. You kidding me? This is why I switched to Ableton. We're back, let's continue. So now that we have all these drums loaded up, we can make a pattern. And I have a very specific pattern in my head. We can start layering them. Cool, and we have all these velocities kind of variated down here. Of course, so it can sound more realistic, but at the same time, we can kind of control which of these samples gets more accentuated. And what if we offset this slightly? So something like this. Yeah, so the kick really punches through. Yeah, I kind of like that part where we remove the kick. Adds a little bit of tension to the drums. But anyway, I think it's time that we move on to the bass. So let's do it. So why is the bass important? Well, of course, it's going to fill up the bass frequencies of the track and make it sound full, but it's also going to add so much groove to it. So we got Serum loaded up here. I'm going to choose a different wavetable. So we'll go to analog and then analog BD sine. And you might be like, well, why would you choose this sine over just a normal sine wave? The thing is, if you look up here on the monitor, you can see that this sine isn't just a perfect tone, it has extra harmonics on top. We can shape the envelope. We can turn this 2 octaves down. I'll add a little noise to this for some texture. Let's go to the effects section and distort it. Let's turn on the filter and then apply it to the noise so that way it gets rid of some of that top end. And now let's add a little bit of punch to it. So let's take the envelope 2 and apply it to the coarse pitch. We can drag this down to a very short point. And I'll hold Shift Alt and then click on this here so that it's only being modulated downwards and not 2 ways, if that makes sense. And you can increase the intensity by dragging this little blue icon. But I think around here is good. Anyway, let's make a bass pattern. Let's see what we can do here. Maybe we can start on B. Let's try that. Or maybe we can kind of do this rhythm. Have it repeat a few times. Let's duplicate this and put it on maybe D sharp. For the final note, maybe let's go with an A sharp. And here's the thing, some of these notes get a little bit too high, so what we can do is kind of do some octave variations. So maybe the first note plays the high octave, and then the other ones play the lower one. We can do this for the D sharp as well, and maybe even the A sharp. Let's see. A sharp gets a little too low, so let's go like that, and maybe make this second one an octave up. We can even do a little transition note. So maybe this last B here, we bring it up to a C sharp, which is going to lead into that D sharp that comes next. So it sounds really good so far, it's really groovy, but I think it's missing something. Maybe like something in the mid-range, so a synth, a piano. Let's try it out. I'm gonna make a piano first, so let's load up Keyzone Classic. This right here is a completely free plugin and the best free piano plugin in my experience. So I'll just copy the main bass notes here. So we got the B, C sharp, D sharp, and then A sharp. We can paste them into the piano. Oh yeah, and to make them all connect, you can press Ctrl L. Yeah, so let's build these chords. I'm gonna take these bass notes an octave up, and then I'll create the fifth by raising these 7 notes up. We can do the thirds of the chords. So it sounds decent, but these triads or the 3-note chords kind of sound a little generic. So let's take the third, raise it up an octave. The third of the chord is what gives it its emotion. So if we raise it up, that accentuates it. And now look how it sounds. A lot more emotional, a lot more character. And from here we can just add some more notes to give it more color. So maybe an A sharp, maybe even a G sharp. Yeah, beautiful harmony. Maybe a D sharp here. Yeah, I like how these two repeat. Just randomly heard that in my head, and I think it's time to add it to the track. I also want this to be in the background, almost low pass, like you can barely hear it. So of course we can do a low pass. I know this is a really weird EQ, but that's just kind of the sound I want. And like I said, I think we also need to add in a synth, so let's do that. This time I'm gonna load up Vital, also known as Free Serum, and let's make a detuned saw so we can increase the voices here. Maybe add a little noise for some texture. We'll make it a pluck. Go to the effects, add a filter, modulate the filter cutoff with the envelope. And then we can even take the LFO and modulate the same filter cutoff for some movement. So for this synth layer, I'm actually gonna take the bass notes here because it has the rhythm that we want. And then we can make a new pattern and paste this in. Except maybe no octave switches. And from here we can build out the chords. Okay, sounds a little cheesy, like 2013. Let's raise these up an octave, and then I'm gonna take the whole thing down an octave. Yeah, that's perfect. Let's put in the synths. We can give it a little EQ, a little reverb, and we could probably even do a little delay. Yeah, Yeah, sounds good to me. Just kind of fills it in a little bit more. So we have a decent starter right here, but there's one main thing that's kind of missing, and that's vocals. So let's get some vocals on this. I actually have Moonboy's, one of Moonboy's tracks over here, Want You, featuring Kora. Got the vocals from it. I made sure to call him before recording this just to ask if I could use it and if it was alright. And he was totally cool with it. So definitely go subscribe to Moonboy. I'll put his link in the description or something. And we might be working on something cool. We'll see. Anyway, and the reason I chose this track is because it has these beautiful vocal chops. And it lost a little bit of quality. It's a little lossy just because of the stem extractor, but it's okay, we'll roll with it. And let's just add it to our track. Now, here's the thing. These vocals are conveniently at 124 BPM, so I don't have to do any time stretching. Cool, and to hopefully bring back some of the character of the vocals that was lost during the stem extraction, maybe we can apply some compression, saturation, even some distortion. Awesome, now we're getting somewhere. So let's make a little bit more of a structure for this and then add some ear candy, some more effects and stuff, and we should be done. We can make a simple respace. I've done this a million times on my channel, so I'm not gonna really explain it. Detuning, filter, glide, bring it 2 octaves down. I've actually been using the low 24 filter a lot just because I think it sounds more lush. And that's because it has a really harsh cut. So for this intro section, we can follow the same chord progression. So B, C sharp, and then D sharp. I want to make the C sharp less boring somehow, so maybe we can do a little glide note. Something like that might be cool. Let's drag the rest of the vocals out here. Over here, we can probably have more of a build-up section, and I'm thinking we slowly filter in the vocals, create some tension. Maybe the build-up could have these cinematic drums, as well as the piano. I think it sounds really good. So I'm gonna take a little break and I'll come back to this, add some more details, ear candy, atmospheres, and then I'll kind of break it down for you. See you on the other side. All right, we're back. So I didn't do much to the track except for just adding some small details like I said, but let's break it down here. So I just added some transitions, little river ambience effects. Just sitting in the background, setting the scene a little bit. I added this background whistle loop from Splice. I just thought it sounded cool because it's like almost little ad-libs for the vocals. And then for the build-up, it was basically the same. I just added this build snare, which filters in and fades out with reverb. Just slowly fades in, and that pluck kind of gives it texture, some detail. I really like this part in the drop where every instrument cuts out except the piano, and the piano just kind of rolls into the second part. You'll see. I just thought that was cool. Oh, and by the way, I added the clap in the second part. Final tip I'll give you is just adding a little swing to your track. So in FL Studio, we have this swing knob. I'm gonna use these synth plucks as an example. And so if we were to turn on the metronome and then turn down the swing knob, it kind of gets rid of some of its groove. But if we add the swing, you hear that bounce that it gives to it. And so once again, turn it off, then turn it on. It shifts everything offbeat a little bit. And so with all that being said, I hope you learned something from this. It's time to listen to the final result.
Album
thank you so much for watching. As always, I really hope this inspired you somehow or you learned something from this. And this is a really fun tutorial for me to make, so hope you enjoyed it. Anyway, if you want to work one-on-one with me and you want to take your music to the next level, click the link in the description. You can book a call with me. One of my clients has made more tracks than he ever has in 2023 and 2024 combined. So we got him through those roadblocks. Now he's on his way to making money with his music. Also, if you think I'm cool, you can click the subscribe button. It would help me out a ton. It would help me retire my parents. And I hope you have a great rest of your day. Make music now, and you'll thank yourself later. Peace.